Guadalcanal, late 1942. It's a steamy, blood-soaked hellhole. The U.S. Marines who landed months ago held the island by a thread, desperately defending a vital airfield from wave after relentless wave of Japanese attacks. The night of October 24th is no different. The torrential downpour can't drown out the screams and explosions echoing through the jungle. Sergeant John Basilone knows his mission: hold a narrow pass along the Tenaru River, come hell or high water. His two machine gun crews dig in, the heavy guns their only lifeline against the thousands of Japanese troops they know are coming. Then, the first wave hits, a screaming horde of soldiers charging out of the darkness. The roar of the machine guns is almost drowned out by the enemy's battle cries. Suddenly, a direct hit wipes out one of the gun crews. There's no time to mourn lost friends. The Japanese won't wait. Basilone, one of the toughest Marines to ever wear the uniform, sees only one option. And that's when things get really crazy. John Basilone's early life wasn't anything special. He was born in Buffalo, New York in 1916, one of 10 kids crammed into a house with their Italian immigrant parents. His dad was a tailor, not exactly rolling in money. When he turned 18, he took a big leap. He joined the U.S. Army. After basic training, it was all beaches and boxing matches for a few years, while stationed in Hawaii and the Philippines. Manila especially must have been exciting for a young kid. Maybe those years overseas gave him a taste for adventure, because when his 3-year hitch was up, driving trucks back home just wasn't going to work for him. In 1940, he ditched the trucks and enlisted in the Marines. This time, the training was a different beast. Boot camp at Parris Island, then Virginia, South Carolina, even a stint doing guard duty at Guantanamo Bay. Then everything changed. December 7, 1941, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and the world was plunged into war. Suddenly, those training days weren't just drills. John Basilone shipped out to the Pacific, about to face his destiny and become a legend. August 7, 1942. American, Aussie, and New Zealand troops stormed ashore on Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands. This wasn't just a beach day. It was the first major Allied strike back against the Japanese in World War II. The goal? Take the island, turn it into a base to keep the pressure on the enemy. The Japanese, caught off guard at first, reacted with brutal force. By October, they'd landed 15,000 troops, determined to drive the Marines off the island and take back a vital asset, an airfield the Americans had named Henderson Field. Losing it had stung, and they wanted revenge. On the night of October 24th, deep in the dripping jungle, Sergeant John Basilone commanded 2 machine gun crews. His mission was to hold a narrow pass along the Tenaru River. His men dug in, waiting for the inevitable, and it came. 3,000 Japanese troops unleashed a torrent of grenades and mortar fire. The Marines dug in deeper, firing back, repelling wave after wave of attackers. Then, disaster. Enemy fire took out one of the machine gun crews. Basilone didn't blink. He grabbed 90 pounds of gear, machine gun, ammo, anything he could carry, and bolted across 200 yards of open ground under relentless enemy fire. And he didn't just run, he fought back, gunning down Japanese soldiers with his .45 along the way. This was just the start. He turned into a one-man whirlwind, sprinting back and forth to supply his remaining crew, hauling ammo, clearing gun jams, anything that kept that weapon spitting lead. At some point, he lost his asbestos gloves, the only protection he had against the white-hot barrel of the gun. That didn't slow him down. He grabbed that scorching metal with his bare hands to change out barrels and keep the gun firing. The Japanese assault was non-stop, their bodies piling so high they blocked the Marines' line of sight. Basilone had to leave the fighting positions to clear away the corpses, just to be able to shoot. After reinforcements arrived, the count was staggering. Basilone and 2 other Marines were all that remained of his crews. He'd used those machine guns, his pistol, and even a machete to kill at least 38 attacking soldiers personally. The ground was soaked in blood. The Japanese attack was stopped cold, but the war and John Basilone's legend were just getting started. The man most Marines would follow into hell, Lieutenant Colonel Chesty Puller, was the one who saw Basilone's actions on Guadalcanal and recommended him for the Medal of Honor, the highest award a U.S. soldier can earn. He got it, but Basilone couldn't shake the ghosts of the men he lost, even with that medal pinned on his chest. He famously said, "Only part of this medal belongs to me. Pieces of it belong to the boys who are still on Guadalcanal." Fame followed him back to the States, where he was paraded around selling war bonds. Newspapers blared his name. His hometown threw him a massive parade with crowds and politicians, the whole 9 yards. He was a celebrity, but it felt hollow. Deep down, he was still that kid who quit school early, who thrived on the adrenaline of a good fight. Sitting behind a desk just didn't cut it. He begged the Marines to send him back to combat. They refused. Heroes sell war bonds. They don't get killed in action. Basilone, however, wasn't one to take no for an answer. They offered him a cushy officer's commission, and he turned it down. They tried to make him a training instructor. No way. This went on for months, Basilone stubbornly holding out for what he wanted. Finally, they relented. By late 1943, Basilone couldn't take being a stateside hero anymore. He begged for a combat assignment and was shipped off to Camp Pendleton to train with the 5th Marine Division. There, he found what he probably hadn't had in a long time: a bit of happiness. He met a female Marine sergeant, Lena May Riggy, and they fell hard for each other. A quick wartime wedding in July 1944, a short honeymoon, and then he shipped out. He'd never see her again. He was assigned to the 1st Battalion, 27th Marine Regiment, 5th Marine Division, February 19, 1945, D-Day for the invasion of Iwo Jima, and he was leading a machine gun section on Red Beach 2. The Japanese weren't about to welcome them with open arms. Fortified bunkers raked the beach with fire, pinning Marines down. Basilone, though, was never one to sit still. He took his men on a daring flanking maneuver, getting around the Japanese strong point and attacking from above. He hit them with everything he had: grenades, demo charges, and wiped out the entire bunker single-handedly. That was just the start. His next move was even more reckless. He scrambled towards airfield number 1, helping guide a U.S. tank stuck in a minefield. He did this under a hail of mortar and artillery fire, getting the tank to safety, then kept pushing forward. His actions that day helped break the Japanese defenses, saving countless Marines' lives as they fought their way off the blood-soaked beach. Then it happened. Enemy fire ripped into him as he moved along the edge of the airfield. Some reports say it was mortar shrapnel, others say bullets. It didn't matter. John Basilone, the legend, fell. He was 28 years old. Posthumously, John Basilone was awarded the Navy Cross, the second highest honor a Marine can receive. The list of John Basilone's military honors is longer than his arm. The Medal of Honor, the Navy Cross, the Purple Heart, those were just the big ones. He also earned countless campaign medals and service awards. He was a true warrior, honored by his country. But his legacy goes beyond medals and ribbons. 2 U.S. Navy destroyers have been named USS Basilone in his honor. Camp Pendleton, where he trained so many Marines, has both a parachute landing zone and one of its main gates named after him. There are monuments to his memory in towns across America, roads named in his honor, and every Marine, past or present, knows his story. He's more than a legend, he's an example of what one man with enough grit and guts can achieve. John Basilone, the kid from New Jersey, died too young, but his life will never be forgotten. Did this story blow you away as much as it did us? Let us know in the comments. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more videos.